The U.S. government is considering banning hedge funds from purchasing U.S. single-family homes. The government will also be forcing them to sell off their entire portfolio. If this is to happen, hundreds of thousands of homes will be hitting the market over the next few years. What will this do to the real estate market? Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Kevin Grolig. I'm a real estate agent with Compass located in Potomac, Maryland. The bulk purchase of single-family homes by corporate owners who then turn them into rentals has come under increased scrutiny over the last few years. Legislators have gradually been responding with bills to rein in and in some cases ban private equity, real estate investment trusts, and hedge funds from purchasing U.S. single-family homes. Democrats in the U.S. Senate and House have sponsored legislation called the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act. This legislation, if passed, will have a two-pronged approach. Number one, it would ban hedge funds and other institutional investors from purchasing U.S. single-family homes moving forward. Two, it would require institutional investors with over a $50 million real estate portfolio to sell off their entire portfolio within 10 years. If these entities fail to divest their entire real estate portfolio within this time frame, they would be taxed up to 50% of the fair market value of the remaining portfolio. The taxes would go towards a new housing trust fund for down payment assistance for aspiring homeowners. Now, before we get too crazy about this Wall Street hedge fund sell-off flipping the real estate market upside down, I have bad news for many of you would-be homeowners and investors expecting to see a market crash. It won't. If this legislation is to pass, this is most likely going to be more of a regional problem in some of these hotbed areas where hedge fund companies have come in and purchased up a lot of the real estate versus a U.S. nationwide issue. Many of these cities, towns, and neighborhoods targeted by these Wall Street hedge funds are in the Sun Belt. These properties tend to be lower income in poorer sections of town. These institutional investors picked up homes for cheap where they could attain strong rental returns. Some cities like Atlanta, Jacksonville, Charlotte, Phoenix, Scottsdale, and Las Vegas saw institutional investors purchase 30 to 40% of the homes in certain neighborhoods during the early days of the pandemic in 2021 and 2022. Many of these areas saw massive appreciation over the last few years, as both institutional investors and mom-and-pop investors outbid many first-time home buyers who couldn't compete against all-cash inflated offers. Subsequently, this drove up home values fast. If this bill were to pass, the possibility of a mass sell-off could have devastating effects for some of these areas. Research by MetLife Investment Management suggests there are 700,000 homes owned by institutional investors in the United States. Now, while 700,000 is a huge number of homes, this amount represents less than 1% of all U.S. homes nationwide. It should also be stated that there's over 27 million investor-owned homes in the United States. Institutional investors make up only 2.5% of all home investors across the country. The strong majority of these investment homes are owned by mom-and-pop investors who won't be affected by this bill at all. If all these institutional investor homes were to be miraculously placed on the market at one time, it would increase the amount of homes on the market nationwide by 80%. However, the inventory in some of these cities that we've mentioned before, the inventory amount could be tripled or even quadrupled. This would absolutely collapse home values in these areas. To give you a little perspective on this, a 2022 analysis by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development said 21% of all Atlanta rental homes were owned by some large institution. In areas like Jacksonville, Florida, investors, both large and small, were buying up nearly 50% of the homes, mostly in lower income, high poverty sections of town in 2021 and 2022. Now, there's always two sides to every story. On the other side of the issue, private equity owners of single-family homes have continually argued that they are creating supply in the rental market, particularly for growing families who feel cramped in a small apartment. John Burns' research and consulting has shown the monthly cost of renting a property is approximately $1,000 less than the cost of home ownership. For many families, the monthly savings of renting a single-family home has a meaningful impact on a broad range of quality of life issues and provides opportunities to live in communities that otherwise may not be attainable. This bill was introduced into the House and Senate in December 2023 by Oregon Democrat Jeff Merkley. At this point in time, it seems to have some support from both sides of the aisle, but has yet to come up for a vote. So, where do you stand on this issue? Do you think large Wall Street hedge funds should be banned from purchasing U.S. single-family homes? Also, if this bill were to pass, what do you think it's going to do to the U.S. housing market? Bring it home to Montgomery County, Maryland. My personal opinion is I don't think it's going to have a huge effect. I think that the DMV area, the costs are probably prohibitive, and this is why they ultimately target less expensive areas a lot of times in the Sun Belt. My overall view on how this may affect the market in the DMV is probably not too much, because there really haven't been very many, at least I'm not aware of any institutional investors buying up in the DMV. It's probably a little bit too pricey in this area. However, there's plenty of parts in the country, as I mentioned, some of these cities that are in the Sun Belt area, where these institutional investors and a lot of the mom and pop investors have gone in and purchased up a lot of these properties. The areas like those that really could be decimated if this bill were to pass. So there you have it. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, place a comment, and share this video. And as always, subscribe to my channel. Thanks once again for checking out the latest video in my series, Real Kevin. See you next week.